Hello, everybody. This is us. It's the Paper Dungeon. This is Table Scraps on Thursdays, the show where we talk about our Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game on Mondays, as well as
And
other
other
assorted
things.
things. Sometimes it's all over the place.
Yeah,
Uh, Twitch
great time.
has continued to just refuse to be my friend,
Mhm.
so I apologize for the lateness. Um, yeah. Anyway, we have some
But we're
start of the
here.
day plugs. First of all, check us out on social media: TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. We're working on it. Uh, we also have a Discord. It's a fantastic place where if you want information as for what exactly we're doing and to have a bunch of lovely people. Also, Handskate. That's very rude. It was Twitch because I went to type to you in the chat and it was like, we don't know who you are. And I'm like, I'm currently streaming live. How do
Yeah,
you
it's
not know who I am?
yeah, Handskate, to be fair,
It happened to
it
Drew.
also happened to me this past Monday
Happened to Drew
because we had to change some of our login info for Twitch. Like it's been freaking out like
every
when we
week, dude.
so yeah. So it's
It
just like you
hates me.
and it's the weird thing is you can go when you go live, it's fine, but when you try to type a chat, it's like nope,
It's
you
like I
can't
don't
do
know who
it.
you are. It's hard to know.
Yeah,
It's hard to know.
you're streaming to the channel, but you're not allowed to say
Yeah.
anything.
So check out our Discord for information about when we're live and what we're doing and all sorts of stuff. You get a lovely bunch of people that say good morning every day, and you can talk about things, send cool messages of recipes and whatnot. Speaking of cool stuff, we also have a website, www.thepaperdungeon.com, where we have a merch store. And speaking of merch stores, the wonderful Lydia Corinne also has a merch store where she sells her art. All of our overlays and character art is all done by Lydia. She's an incredible artist. You can commission art from her. You should do that. It's very cool. Other than that, if you want to support us in other ways, we have multiple ways to do that. We have a Streamlabs donation. We have a Ko-Fi, and we also have a Patreon. The Patreon is really rad. We're actually going to be recording another episode for the Patreon tonight that
Woo.
Grant will be DMing for, and it will be a real twist and turn from what you may expect. Kind of a little bit based on some Valentine's Day stuff because it is February. Very minorly based on Valentine's
Yeah.
Day stuff because it's
Th-
February.
I do find it funny how we have like special like holiday episodes that really don't relate to the holiday at
No,
all.
no, 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 not
Like
at all.
our
It's like
Christmas
winter.
for Christmas we've done like
It's
Valentine's
just
Day for
cold.
Halloween.
Well, like, what are you gonna do? You know.
Mm.
So yeah, so check us out on Patreon. We have a bunch of. I mean, we're starting to slowly build up a repertoire of
Yeah,
actual
yeah. We
things
have
that
a
are
few
on our
different things
Patreon.
now. Yeah.
Working on increasing that output and everything like that. So it's a really cool place to be. It also is one of the best ways to support us, like in terms of like percentage wise. Patreon is a very big deal to us. Halloween, I think, did get costumes for stream and Camp Cryptid. I think.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Well, okay. So, I mean, so our costume for Camp Cryptid was we all had special Camp
Yes, we
Cryptid
had our
T-shirts.
our
We are
yeah campaign
our
shirts from
camp
Lydia.
T-shirts, and then like DJ had like a pair of horns that he made. I had like a fishing hat that I wore.
I don't think I had
Aaron,
anything going on.
I don't think you had
Pretty sure I didn't
anything,
have anything going on.
and then and then Grant had didn't Grant like wear like a onesie or something?
Grant did
I don't
something
I don't
weird.
remember. Anyway,
Um, but yeah, this past Monday we played some Dungeons and Dragons in our campaign of what, like 3 years now that we've had running.
working on year three currently.
Yeah, working on year three. Uh, we entered the plane of pandemonium. We are currently searching for the basically some relic of a previous warrior or helpful NPC that we plan
Mm-hmm.
to resurrect using some
Mm-hmm.
newly found magic within
Mm-hmm.
campaign lore.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough over in Pandemonium.
It's not a great time.
It's not a great time.
Yeah.
Things just do stuff. Things do stuff. That's all I have to say about that. We encountered semi sentient magical suns,
Yep.
terrifying mirror creatures,
Yep.
that attempted to murder us,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like there was some other random thing that happened, but I can't. Oh, the
Wait.
sand. There was a sand whirlwind that just
Uh-huh.
made life very uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
And then towards the end of it, we also met a dragon,
Hmm.
and had some.
A very friendly and old dragon.
Yes, my new favorite NPC.
Yes. The grandma dragon.
Yeah, I like her more than my girlfriend. More than my campaign girlfriend. This grandmother dragon is the greatest thing. I don't remember her name because I just call her grandmother, and she's great. Um, yeah, it was an episode. There was a lot of group friendship, bonding, and tension all at once. Um, it was an episode. There was a lot of role play. There was a little bit of
A lot of
combat, where
yeah, a little bit of combat and pretty a unique combat, I would say,
yeah,
from what we've had.
it was different.
Yeah.
Like the only damage that these said mirror creatures could take was radiant.
Hmm.
So poor Edward and Abinthy are out here like, um, oh thanks, Mass. I was like, how do I press the permit button? Um, I have no idea why it tried to block Grand Dragon. Maybe it's expecting a like a ligma joke out of that somehow.
I,
Like, I mean, it's an easy
which is
win, but I
weird.
don't know. Couldn't tell you. But yeah, Renaya and Cather really got to shine damage wise in that combat because
Yeah,
Radiant
that
was
was
like the thing that they took damage
I
from.
so fun thing with that. I totally took a guess on the radiant before we actually knew because so for those of you who don't pay attention or don't know, so Cather currently has two different swords that he
Mm-hmm.
uses. Primarily, he has his long sword, which is technically, I mean, I don't know, in a way you could think of it as like a cursed weapon. It's the broken remnants of his once blessed sword by the gods of death uh now is kind of a dark shadow of itself. And has some really cool things that it does, but it mostly focuses on like necrotic damage now currently. Um, and and literally we're like, okay, mirror things. These feel like not. These feel like necrotic damage wouldn't be very effective for
Yeah.
this. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel effective. So I'm like, okay, option B. I have Vizen's Greatsword, which is basically just a modified Holy Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, let's go with that one. And it worked out great.
Uh, yeah, I was just ready to start cycling through different damage types. I was like, let's give Necrotic a shot, just because you never know.
Yeah,
No, that didn't work.
Nah, it didn't work.
I was going to eventually hit Lightning was my next one. Then I was going to try Fire, see if that did anything. I don't know.
Hmm.
Abinthy played... so Abinthy has two modes, which the first mode is aggressive wizard. So very, very damagey, very all over the place, beating
So just
people up.
a normal wizard.
Yeah, and then the other function that he has is support wizard of in terms of movement and placement and status effect and stuff like that, which
Hmm.
he kind of fell into that role for this combat with like changing it so that way we weren't standing on mirrors. So
Hmm.
that way we had a bit of a
Which was
safe area to
super
stand
helpful.
on. I would have been in incredible danger if anything hit me because Abinthy is not great at strength and
Yeah.
does not have a lot of health. He has like I think now he almost has 100 health after this episode because at this episode we did level up
Woo.
and things start to get crazy.
Spicy.
I think
Yeah.
2 levels from now Abinthy becomes absolutely wild. But like this is the start of nonsense.
Oh, let me see. Let me try and see if I can't find a player's handbook for myself.
I believe in you. But yeah, it was certainly an episode. A lot of things happened in it. The combat was really nice. it's been a little bit since we've had like combat. It feels like it's been a little while. Um,
Yeah, it's been a few episodes
yeah,
though.
like a
I mean,
few. I don't know. Well, we also
like
had like
since
so many.
it was since we it was since 15.5 when we rescued Mary.
Yeah, but that doesn't really count because I was DMing. So it's
Hmm.
like that's like it's not like the main episode or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we've also had a lot of like weeks in between there where we like haven't been able to stream or stuff like
Right,
that.
right, right.
So
So it's
it
felt
just
like a long
feels
time.
like a while.
Yeah.
Um, so that was nice. And then yeah, that grandmother dragon. I've got thoughts, dude.
Good old Grandma Dragon.
Um, and
I came notes.
so this is one of my biggest struggles right now. This is the first time that I've really struggled to play Abinthy. Like Abinthy normally comes very naturally to me, but
Mm-hmm.
right now, Abinthy is kind of a bad guy in terms of the group, um, and that's kind of the direction that I want to go with him.
That you do want to go with it?
Yeah, that I do, which makes it hard because I really want to just be like, yes, everything is great, but I think that is not only incorrect for the character, but also less interesting than it could be story wise. Where I kind of want Abinthy to struggle with the idea of this group of people as friends, rather
Mm.
than like companions and people who fight together and work together. And like he obviously thinks that we should all care about what the other people want, but he does not consider himself worthy, or not necessarily worthy, but it's just not really in his game plan to be friends with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like even him and Edward, who are probably the closest people for him, is Edward. He wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
even necessarily consider Edward a friend,
Right.
more of like a work associate that they hang out and get drinks afterward,
Right.
kind of guy.
You get along.
Which is so difficult because this episode was such a, it felt very like power of friendship episode, and so I'm like, how do I? It was really difficult to play Abinthy as kind of a like, that's great and all, but I don't think that I can do that.
Yeah, it's tricky because part of like part of it, at least from my perspective, right? Like the main, dare I say, the main members, meaning Cather,
Yeah,
Edward, and Renaya.
the
Um,
OGs.
the what's left of the OGs. That's right. All the rest of them are dead, except for Melora, I guess now. But she's off and far away doing
Yeah,
other stuff for Kiamora now. Um, but like they got into they had a good rhythm, so to speak.
mm-hmm.
They had a good system, and they were all very very close at the in the kind of the climax
Yeah,
of book one, or of chapter one. And then over the break, that all just kind of dissipated
mm-hmm.
for all of them, and they all indirectly struggled because of it in other things. I would say. And so then like this episode in for them was like very good. It's like, hey guys, like like we all went our separate ways, and like sure we've come back together, but we haven't really
Yeah,
come back together like
like as
as
like
like
people and
teams and
relationship
friends,
wise,
and
and
yeah, like actually trying to be there for each other and all the things that we're struggling with. And we're just kind of like objective focused of like, oh, you're going through this thing, well, like that sucks. Here,
yeah.
take a knife. Um,
um and
and
for
so that it's kind of this dual thing of like apathy doesn't need that. Apathy doesn't need
well,
friends.
and yeah, and Abinthy was not there
Hmm.
when everyone was friends. Like he
But you're
was, that
right.
was
Yeah.
not a thing for him. And as answer your question, Alif, it isn't that it's he if he doesn't gain anything from it, he feels no attachment or commitment. Abinthy has zero experience. First of all, I said practically zero experience with friendship. In Abinthy's 47 years of life, he has had one person that he would consider a friend. Um, because Talanashta he would consider more of like a little sister, and then
Hmm.
he would consider, oh geez, what's his face? The Smith that for the life of me I can't pull up his name to mind right now, that we haven't visited, which is why it's not coming to mind. More of like a brother or even father figure. So he's just been traveling alone for a really long time, and now he's with this group of people who are super close knit friends. And for another reason that has not been revealed, and kind of the reason that I want it to go this path, in his mind, all of the suffering that you guys have had over the past 3 years is kind of his fault, which has not been revealed in campaign as to why that would be. But it's something that I kind of want to. I mean, it's going to come to light eventually, and this is kind of one of the ways that I want it to go. Is he doesn't consider friendship the purpose or goal of this. His job is to accomplish your guys' missions and help you, like with the things that you want to do and keep you all alive. That's his
Hmm.
goal, and he doesn't feel himself really deserving of friendship if the reason you're struggling to survive or accomplish these goals is really his fault.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the path that I want to go with him, which is really, that's so tough to play,
Hmm.
because in his mind he's like, I have done everything that you have asked of me, and some more so, and no matter what I do it always feels like I'm failing to help you. It's kind of like how Cather felt when Abinthy was having his like fit about Talanashta, where he's like, it may just be better for me to not be around because I make things more difficult.
Hmm.
Not saying that Abinthy's going to leave, he would just take more of a shadowy side role of like, I'm not going to travel with the main party, I'm going to travel away from them but in the same direction, so that way when something happens I can be there.
Hmm.
Which I don't think is going to happen, but that's the kind of thought that he's having, where he's like, clearly whatever this party is wanting or needing, I do not have to give, and what I do have to give is not what they want.
Hmm.
So my purpose here may take a slightly more background role, which once again, that is rough to play,
Yeah.
because I would love to, like, I would love to have Abinthy be capable of doing what Tarak does, but that would defeat the purpose of him being Abinthy and not Tarak.
Right.
Where like, and that's one of the things that Abinthy almost feels is expected of him, to be like he is not Tarak, and they keep expecting him to act like, in his mind, who is basically a saint.
Hmm.
And he's like, I can't do that. I'm honestly probably a villain in comparison to the rest of you.
Hmm.
So it's a tough route that I'm trying to take Abinthy on, but I think it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's kind of a weird thing because like it starts to get into a weird um I don't want like the closest word I can think to what I'm trying to say is like a metagaming kind of thing, but that's not quite the right thing. But it's basically like the idea is like we've played the most with the four of us, with
Mm-hmm.
you, me, Grant, and Lydia as players. You know, we've played with just the four of us in the main
A
cast
long time, yeah.
for yeah, over I mean over a year definitely, um, and definitely just overall longer amount of time with the four of us than we did with the six of us when we had Hannah and
Ryan and
Ryan
Anna, yeah.
at the very beginning. And so like I think the four of us as players really got used to us fitting certain roles,
Mm-hmm.
just in regards to like what we did and like how our characters behaved and played. And then I think even and so I think that plays into it at least a little bit, like subconsciously. But then also, I think even like as our characters are like with Cather, Edward, and Renaya, they're used to their fourth member being that person who acts like Tarak.
Yeah.
They're
And
used to,
then
and so
Abinthy
then when
showed
that
up.
fourth member isn't that, it's just like, well, shoot. this like track was the person who I went to for these things because I know like the other two people wouldn't handle this kind of situation very
Absolutely.
well. What do I do now?
And then Abinthy will sometimes try to still attempt to fit that role, and he's really bad at it,
Hmm.
which just makes things worse. And like Abinthy has a lot of his own problems and struggles to deal with, but it is this is probably the first time that I'm really noticing the difficulty of inserting a new character into that kind of vibe, where
Hmm.
it's like when Abinthy first showed up, it was a lot of like playing around and meeting the things and kind of just feeling out where things would go. But now we're
Hmm.
in the like nitty gritty of it,
Hmm.
and that's when things get really difficult playing this character who has not like it doesn't make sense for him to be as close of friends with these people who have been through all of the things. It's kind of like when you're a new, I mean it's literally when you're a new person in a friend group that's like been together since high school,
Yeah.
and one of the friends is like, "Yo, come meet my friends," and you show up there, and they have all of the like inside jokes and the specific roles that they fit, and you're like, "Oh shoot, I don't know how to deal with this situation."
Hmm.
Um, and then imagine if all of the conversations that happen in that group are like, "Oh yeah, man, over the past couple of years, this bad thing happened, or I lost my job," and then every single thing that they say, in your mind, it goes, "Oh shoot, I did this thing, and that is why they are having these troubles now."
Hmm.
And that's kind of Abinthy's. Um, and Liff, yeah, that's very accurate. Where like I as Aaron still want to play the Tarak. Like I love playing Tarak. Tarak is one of my favorite characters I've ever played, and his role was very fun for me to fit into. Of being like Tarak was always patient, he was always understanding, and he was always ready and willing to give support in whatever way, shape, and form that he could,
Hmm.
whether it be emotional, physical, however. Abinthy sucks at that. Abinthy is he is a impulsive, impatient. Uh, I don't like to say that Abinthy is egotistical because he simply matches whatever he's going up against.
Hmm.
Um, but he certainly does have an ego. Um, it's one of the things that I wanted to get across. One of the reasons that he stepped. So when we met the dragon, we were all in a bubble, and Abinthy just got up and left the bubble to talk to the dragon, without conferring with anyone. And one of the things that I'm not sure if I got across well, I definitely mentioned it, but I probably could have done a better job, is that Abinthy feels most comfortable talking when he is talking to things that he probably shouldn't be or are way out of his skill zone. So, like, Abinthy talking to, like, someone on the street is really difficult for him. Abinthy talking to, like, a god or an archfey is, like, second nature. It feels very natural to him. So, like, it was a relief to see some big scary monster that might try to kill him. Because he's
Hmm.
like, this is way more in my skill house than regular human conversation.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Your skills and training, you know, merit your ability to handle those situations well,
oh yeah,
not talking to people.
that's like how he survived. Is he was always alone, so that's when like he willingly went to a banquet hosted by the Lord of the Sixth Layer of Hell and ended up in a relationship with her. Like that's par for the course for Abinthy.
Hmm.
Talking to someone normal ish about normal life things is
Yeah.
way more fantasy
Hmm.
terrifying to Abinthy than going
Hmm.
and fighting gods and demons.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like
Um,
he hasn't experienced normal.
yeah, Abinthy is like a reverse Edward,
Yeah.
where like for Edward, he's like, I don't think you understand. You have black blood. That is not normal. And Abinthy, it's like, you bleed when you get cut? What is wrong with you? Like, it's just a complete opposite dichotomy
Yep.
of like what is normal and what is not, which is another one of those difficult things. And also like Abinthy's strong suit is acting quickly. And so for him, in his mind, he's like constantly having to confer with a group about what is the next choice of action is so awkward for him.
Mm-hmm.
Where like for him, he can look at a silver dragon that's walking through a thing and immediately process silver dragons are in general some of the nicer dragons. Most of them
Mm-hmm.
are very positive towards mortals.
Mm-hmm.
Often very helpful. Second, we're in pandemonium. The only way we are going to ever learn where we're supposed to be going is by talking to literally anything that can think.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the only
100%.
thing that we have met so far that can think are things that immediately tried to kill us that are mirrors and this dragon. So it's a simple solution. You just go talk to the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And Abinthy has ways to escape and not die from it. So he's like, even if things do go
We're
bad,
good. Let's go for it.
I'm just going to go and talk to it. I'll escape if need be. Which is not an okay thing for everyone else. And that is just not something that super crosses his mind. He sees action and he does it. And so it's definitely going to be a learning curve for Abinthy. And some of it I want to almost work in the other way as well, because there are times where I think that we spend too long considering what to do.
Sure.
Both I and Abinthy think that, where it's like, okay, grouping up and talking about problems is a very important thing. There are lives that are sometimes on the line, and you do not have the time to have a group vote of what to do. Mm-hmm. Having individual action and knowledge and decision making is important. Mm-hmm. What is also important is when someone does make an individual decision, you to also be able of taking your own action, and they may go in opposite directions, and neither of you are upset with the other one. So, like, if we harken back to the fight in the library, where Abinthy's like, should we attack the dragons? Should we not attack the dragons? Should we attack the golem? Those are our three options. Mm-hmm. And he got three different answers. Mm-hmm. Where it was like, attack 100%. The golem, attack the dragon, do nothing. And he's like, yep. What?
That's not helpful.
That's not helpful at all. I don't know what the plan here is. I'm new. Is this a regular... Like, he just assumes you should probably know who your enemies are going to be so I can engage in combat efficiently. So for him, his first thing is he's attacking the dragon. That's what he would have done. Those were... they were chromatic dragons, which means that on average they tend to dislike mortal creatures. Yep. Also, they are actively attacking a sanctum of knowledge and safety. Probably means they're not on our side. Mm-hmm. Now, if we want into the building, we should group up and attack this golem later. Mm-hmm. But doing nothing just isn't an option. Right. There are people actively in danger and dying here. So either A, we fight the golem and maybe help evil things get into something so that way we can also get what we want. Mm-hmm. Or we attack the dragons, potentially save a lot of lives, and then we might be able to take on the golem afterwards. But, like, we have to choose one of them. And, like, that's why he's done some stuff on his own as well, which I think is a slight misnomer. I think on average, Abinthy has been very clear in asking for permission to do stuff, except for very minor things.
Yeah, I think it's like, part of it is just like Havel, went and did like everything by himself.
Havel's very alone. It kind of carries
so
over.
Like all of us are like kind of like hyper aware of like when people are off doing their own thing, because then it's like it just makes us think about that, and that wasn't great.
Yeah, and it's like,
so it's like because like you have to find a middle there's a bit of a balance of like, so sometimes it's good to talk to things, but sometimes like it's good for people to do stuff on their own.
Like in general you should try to include the group in pretty much, at least in some regard, with the action that is being done on screen, because it's boring to just sit around and not ever be involved with anything if everyone is doing their own thing constantly. You have to wait all the time for someone's turn to end, even when it isn't in combat. But like, not everything should be done with a group. Like, there should be times where a character gets a specific spotlight moment and talking to an NPC or doing things behind the scenes and stuff like that. And then when those happen, you should try to be as efficient with them as possible so we get back to the group as quickly as possible. Um, yeah, it's apathy is finally reaching the oh geez, sometimes it's hard to play this character angle, which is it's an interesting time for me. I still love playing apathy, but it'll be interesting to see where it goes and develops and how all of the characters change throughout the course of this story. We also got a bunch of magic items and leveled up, which I think that we should talk about a bit. Did you
Yes,
what magic
I
item
agree.
did you get? You got like the helmet of teleportation, right?
Yes, the Helm of Teleportation, which is a really cool magic item. It's a shame it requires attunement, and so I just like there's so many things that I have that require
Mm-hmm.
attunement. I'm like I can't use all of them
Dude, I am with you on this one.
because like so okay. So first of all, I have a cloak of fire resistance, super useful thing. Like that's really
Mm-hmm.
helpful.
I don't
I
think it's
also
ever
have
making into your attunement slots. I don't think it's ever taking up a spot unless you're specifically walking through like a fire plane.
right, yeah, and so it's like one of those things. It's like it's good to have, but super situational.
Yeah,
So there's
it's
that.
not going to be part of your core group.
I have my Blood Fury tattoo. Uh,
Can't,
s-
can't that just takes up a spot. Can't get rid of that.
yeah, like that's like super helpful, useful in so many ways. Like, yeah, no, I'm not. That's not. That just stays there. And then I have my longsword blade, Broken Promise,
Mm-hmm.
which that also pretty much lives in attunement because
It's
it's
thematic and
it's
fits
my
your
go-to
character.
sword. Yeah, and yeah, and so that gives me basically one slot that you know that is versatile to switch between a cloak of fire resistance, a helm of teleportation, a ring of the ram, and my other sword.
So here's my perception as a DM, right? Because and this is one of my big things. I think that at minimum, as a DM, you should make more items just not require attunement.
Mhm.
And if it is such a thing where it's like, man, I don't have enough room for things that don't take attunement, it's too strong. Just decrease the ability of it slightly. So like the helm of teleportation, to make it not attunement requiring, maybe reduce the amount of times that you can teleport with it down to like one or two.
Mhm.
Like the the
Like
fact that there are so many
even just like a
things
once per day like would be a
once
super
per day, it
useful
would be
thing.
so good. It would be so convenient and nice. And
Yeah.
not, I don't think that's ever, honestly, I think even if you could teleport 3 times a day without attunement, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Um, I think that there is way too, like the Ring of the Ram requiring attunement is absurd to me. That's like a, every once in a while
It's
you get a
two
slightly
d
different
four
attack.
force damage that pushes 5 feet away.
Like, wow. Mind blowing.
Or actually, no, there's a sorry, that was my 2d10, not 2d4,
Oh
2d10.
no.
But
A
yes,
whole
it's still not.
20 damage.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not a lot.
it like the fact that there are so many items that require attunement in 5th edition that are like not that great. I have uh the one that I'm probably going to switch out for this amulet of the planes that I got. um oh geez, I can't remember the name of it. It's the little emblem thing that gives you, automatically stabilizes you when you're at 0, and any hit die you roll is doubled.
Hmm.
uh, really nice item. Why
Hmm.
does this particularly require attunement? I think that like you could have it not require attunement and have it only auto stabilize you a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier, or
Hmm.
like yeah. So like if you have a +2, it can stabilize you twice if you get knocked down, and then it
Hmm.
needs like a long rest to reset, and then just not have it use attunement. Like, still in a fantastic item. You could even keep it the way it is. It might be a little bit too good, but when I am DMing campaign 2, one of my main things is going to be focusing on making and changing items so that way you can use more of them without being like, oh god, my attunement slots.
Right.
Because it's like there are fun magic items that you would love to use and you just can't
Yep.
because it's like, well, what do I do here?
Yeah,
Um,
that's yeah. It's one of those things like because like some of the things is like okay, sure, like early level, it makes sense that this thing is strong enough to constitute it, but like there's just a lot of things that are just super helpful that don't like scale well into late
yeah,
game.
and even then, it's like Ring of the Ram low level is like, oh god, 2d10 damage. Okay, that's not that much. Even at first level, if you give someone a Ring of the Ram, it might one shot one monster once a day.
Hmm.
Oh no, like oh, and half the time it's not going to do that. You're going to save out of it, and then the rest of the time you're going to roll.
It's a roll to hit.
Oh, okay, so you could miss.
Hmm.
That's just a thing, and like I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think at low level, it still doesn't matter if it requires attunement.
But yeah, but all that being said, though, I'm hoping so, and this is kind of goes into a little bit of what I want to talk about too, because as you mentioned, we're since we leveled up,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 15th level now. First of all, up to 138 hit points. Whoop whoop.
Yeah,
Let's
woo
go.
woo.
Still not nearly as beefy as
Not
Track
even
was
close.
at like 10th level,
Yeah,
but
that
it's
was
fine.
nutty, dude.
Did you had like 200 hit points at 10th level,
I was
right?
working to almost halfway to like I only had like 50 more points until I hit 300. I had like 200, like
And
240 or something.
And like I mean I have a plus to my con. I've been rolling pretty decent for my hit
When you
die when
don't
we look and
roll
level up.
below a 9 on
Oh
your hit
man.
die for like those levels,
For
things
like
get
10 levels.
wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets and you had the like
And
then
the
you have the
tough
tough feat
feat, I
too
had the tough
with
feat
plus
and a
5
plus
con.
5 con.
Yeah.
My goal
So
was
you're
take
gaining like
damage.
18 hit points per level.
Yeah. It was wild.
Anyway, um so couple things that are I have to start thinking about really now that we're 15 level. Um First of all, uh 15th us reaching 15th level has meant that Cather has spent full 3 full levels in Oathbreaker,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that he can take a new oath now,
Yeah, neat.
um, which will likely happen very shortly after we get out of
Pandemonium. Yeah.
Pandemonium, um, which is interesting to think about because I have to that which means I have to make up my mind as to what subclass I want to
Oh
take.
yeah. We should have a poll.
Honestly, because see, here's the thing. I'm like at this point, I'm really split between like the Oath of Destiny and the Oath of the Watcher,
Oh yeah.
because both
I'm glad that
most
I've ruined your time.
you've ruined me,
I've
Aaron.
ruined you.
Because both make a ton of sense for Cather to go to take as his oath, and both would be super helpful in the things that we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I don't know what to do anymore.
So basically, Drew had this big. He had it all planned out, and then I went, "Hey, look, a piece of candy," and you were like, "Huh?"
Well, see, here's the thing, right? Originally I didn't even go Oathbreaker for the long like I was not gonna go Oathbreaker for the longest time, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, like with Track dying and Visor dying, all these things going on, it totally feels like it would make sense for Cather to falter a little bit, you
Yeah.
know? Because like
It's
it's like
it's not a good hero story if there's never a point when they
uh-huh.
fall a little. That's like
Yeah.
literally part of the hero's journey.
Yeah, the hero's fault. It's literally yeah, it's in there. And so like part of me is just like, man, like it would be really like both of them would be satisfying to some degree because in my head, right, if he goes Oath of the Watcher, the in story kind of thing would be like, okay, he basically is more or less electing himself to be the main guardian of the material plane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like we're facing we're facing Archdevils, we're facing Demon Princes, we're facing
Archfey
Archfey,
and
we're fighting even some Celestials every now and again. It's like
Udal.
all these things. And so it's just like, okay, this is not cool. This is not okay. And it's just like, so it's just like, so it totally makes sense. And that's really right up Cather's alley of like, as much as obviously there's been a lot of, obviously he has a lot of close ties to the gods of death and this whole idea of like this, of having a fate or a destiny that you fulfill. Gen like at Cather's core, he just is seeking to protect people.
Yeah,
That's genuinely what's at his
that's
core,
Cather's
the
vibe.
core of his being. It's just protecting people. Um, and that like fit like that goes right up the alley of
Oh yeah,
the
Oath
Oath
of
of
the
the
Watchers.
Watchers and how it would fit in like the climax of the story and stuff. And so it's like, oh man, so that's and there's also other ways to still make it so like he's still closely allied to like the gods of death still. Like you're like, hey guys, you know, I see a lot of things that like in regards to like fate and destiny that need to happen. I will fulfill those, but I'm still gonna do my own thing, and
Hmm.
I will not I can't re-step into these shoes, or I choose not to,
Yeah,
right?
I will not choose to sacrifice mortal lives just for the benefit of fate.
Uh-huh.
Like,
And so there's that on one hand, and then there's the other hand of Cather fully stepping into this role of being in charge of fate and making his own choices of what fate and destiny actually
hmm,
mean, right? And it's it's kind of like it would be a full arc. It's like there's two different fulfillment arcs. One of Cather's fulfillment as like just a person willing to make his own choices for himself, or a full arc of Cather being able to make his own choices for fate.
yeah. Either way, and I think it'll be good no matter
It's
what you do. Um,
it's a struggle.
I can tell you, Abinthy's fine with either one. Abinthy thinks that both of them is a great step in the right direction.
Also, with that, something that I want to happen. So first of all, uh, definitely going to get the helm of teleportation. Like that enchantment is definitely going to get transferred to his mask.
Oh
That's
yeah,
100% happening. Like ugh, that's gonna be sick. But something I've talked to DJ about that I would really think would be sick is if before Cather got his sword reforged, we went and fought the soul snatcher person
yeah.
who stole Tarmasha, and like I don't even know what kind of weapon this person used, but I just picture the Grim Reaper, like classic Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
I just want a piece of that person's weapon, whatever it is, his blade, whatever it is, axe, hammer, whatever. As long as it's
Okay,
metal,
those
I'll take it.
those.
And I want to use that in part of the reforging process. Like I want to use a combination of Vizen's greatsword, Broken Promise, and the shard of the Soul Stealer. We'll call it that, and just create like this really awesome like artifact weapon.
Yorwick, that's his name.
And Yorwick, that is his name. Um, because that just sounds sick.
It does. Um, it is a man. It's gonna be the next couple of months are gonna be a ride because
Yeah.
like June is not that far away, and if we're expecting this to kind of end around that point in time, there's a fair bit that we have to get done in the next few months.
Well, yeah. Let's see. So we're in,
That's
yeah,
4
we're
months
in
away,
February
give or
right now.
take.
We're like in theory, because like let's see, a couple weeks ago, yeah, DJ mentioned like he thinks 4 months left of the main campaign, assuming that we keep a consistent
So
pace of actually
in that
making progress.
time, in those 4 months, we need to.
Level up 5 more times.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty doable. The leveling up,
Yeah,
yeah, you can just say that happens whenever.
yeah,
We need to get out of pandemonium with this person's soul slash armor, weapon, or whatever,
yeah. And
which
something of this person.
may be a thing that may even be an item that we get to use. We need to get Talanash's soul back. We need to kill Baphomet. We need to deal with the incursion of the Fae slash fiends,
Mhm.
which kind of is alongside of killing. This is not necessarily in order.
Yeah, it's not in
Um,
order, and they're not all mutually exclusive.
and then I bet you we're going to have to deal with the thing that comes out of that cocoon slash rescue your girlfriend. That's like six things.
Cocoon and also reforge the sword.
Yeah, I mean,
All
reforging the sword is
so it's like
almost feels like a like you know how you can finish Breath of the Wild without gaining the Master Sword.
mhm.
That feels like that, where you're like, it isn't necessary, but it's like a thing that you're gonna do because it's pretty important to the plot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like I've said, I really want the reforging of his sword to be directly related to him retaking his oath.
Yeah,
So
it's a thing that's going to happen. I'm just
yeah,
not including into the list of 6 things because it's like that's an episode. Um,
yeah. Basically, well, see, really, what it is it ties perfectly together with the Talanasha
yeah,
stuff
killing the thing
because
as
we
Talanasha.
needed to go talk to because we needed to go
Yeah,
see
gotta go see
Yorwick anyway.
Yorwick. Gotta get that item. You gotta kill that guy, so on and so forth. So
Yeah,
it's like
it all
a 6.5.
yeah, it's 6.5. There you go.
um, and we have to do all that in 4 months, which assuming that which this is not the case, there are 4 Mondays in every month. We have
Uh huh.
16 Mondays
Uh huh.
to do all that.
16 episodes.
16 episodes. Like we're gonna have to pedal to the metal, and not to mention the whole incursion of the Fae and fiends. That also might include like dealing with dragons. So that's like 7.5. Because once we get this silver dragon out of here, they're gonna be like, "Yo, wait a second, we banished you for a reason." Uh, excuse me, and then we're gonna have to deal with that. Like a lot of stuff to do in 4 months.
It is a lot of stuff to
That's
do.
a lot
Like
of that's a lot of
so,
work.
yeah. So it suppose like a possible order of things, right? Would be um
Get out of
get out of
pandemonium.
get out of pandemonium and revive the dude.
Yeah, and revive the dude. That's like one and
That's
same.
like that's like the next
We can just
episode. That's like the
throw
next
him.
two. That's like the next two
Yeah,
episodes,
we can just
basically.
throw him the thing and then go. Like we don't know this guy.
Yeah, we don't
We've
have to
got
stay
things
for
to
the
do.
for that revival.
Like here's
So
this guy's armor.
next,
Good
so like
luck.
next episode, we hopefully find the dude and get out of
Get out.
pandemonium.
Yeah,
And then the following
and
episode, like the first
maybe
like
even
hours,
resurrect if
and
we're
like yeah,
lucky.
if we're really fast, but probably not. So then second episode would be like first hours, like okay, here's your dude. We're gonna get out now.
Yep.
And then I would say the rest of that episode of the second upcoming episode would be like going and
Apathy gets summoned by Asmodeus to learn where the location of the guy
yeah,
is,
yeah,
and then we
yeah.
go to find the
Apathy
guy.
like how figures out where Talanasha's soul is and how to get there. I would imagine some sort of conversation happens with Cather and the gods of death,
Yep.
probably, and that's mostly just because we leveled up. Um,
Because we'll also need to maybe visit Yorwick at that point in time.
yeah, and
To first
we'll
meet
probably
him.
end up like visiting Yorwick, and then episode 3, we find Talanasha, attempt to find Talanasha and fight a dude, and then episode 4 we come back, reforge the sword, revive Talanasha.
I think fighting the dude, like finding Talanashta and fighting the dude, takes a total of 2 episodes.
Probably.
I think that we have to extend that deadline a little bit.
Yeah, that's yeah. So probably like next 5 episodes. That's like the
Yeah.
in theory next 5 episodes is all that stuff.
And since we're always slower than we think, let's assume that it's 6.
Let's assume that's 6.
Let's assume that it's 6 because we
That
have
gives us 10
conversations
more
in there.
episodes.
10 more
That gives us
episodes.
10 more episodes.
And we only have what?
to
5 more things to accomplish?
that gives us 10 more episodes to fight Baphomet, save Atrasil / fight the Archfey, potentially fight a purple cocoon thing.
I do think that it kind of ends up in the worst situation where everything kind of just rolls into one.
Yeah,
So,
everything
and-
just kind of just keeps happening. Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure at what point in time in the timeline we fight Baphomet. I'm not sure if we deal with the army, then go to Baphomet, or if we deal with Baphomet before the army happens. Or
Yeah,
I know
it's
that the
one of those
cocoon
weird
thing.
things.
I feel like the cocoon thing is probably last. Like I feel like the whole war
That's like
happens,
the big climax.
and we're like
yeah.
we're like heading towards the temple. We're like we gotta destroy the cocoon, and then right as we get there, that's when like the cocoon happens. So that feels like the last thing on the list. So Baphomet happens either before or during the army fight against the Fae and Fiends. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, it's weird because like the Baphomet thing feels like somewhat connected to everything else that's going on, but not directly.
Well, I think
And
that
and
like,
so if it's like okay, how do you go do this thing?
I think it's got to happen before because I think that Baphomet
Yeah.
being destroyed would weaken the Fiends for the big final culmination battle. Also, Baphomet is linked to a character backstory,
Right.
like a character plot line, and then you
Mhm.
have the like overarching plot line. So it
Right.
feels like Baphomet has to
That
happen
would have
before
we
overarching
we
plot.
have yeah we have to do all of our we have to type all of our character loose ends before we
Mm-hmm.
go deal with the like the fine. It's like we're at the end of this big RPG video game, right?
Yeah.
And you have like and like literally you can go and hit start quest on like the final what you know to be the final quest against the big
You're
boss.
like, oh, I should
However,
probably
you
clean
have
up
like
my quest
uh,
log
yeah,
first.
except you have like three side quests that you need to finish first.
And it says like character info next to it, like it's like a main side mission where it's like, yeah, this will give you crucial information about the characters that you currently have in your party.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, I should probably finish those because I'm interested in these characters.
Right.
So I'll hold off on that final battle.
It's one of the it's like I always like what the image that comes to my head is like you know how like how in like a lot of video games like you have like these different towns or cities that you're in and like the way the town looks changes depending on how far along you are on the main quest,
Yeah,
right? It's like it's like in my head like you're in this main town or city like it's like almost sunset like fire is in the air and on the horizon and like in the distance you see like the army approaching the city. But like, hold
yeah.
on,
There's
guys.
a couple of NPCs I need to talk to first.
I can't do that yet. I have to finish this milk delivery for Aunt
Oh my
Susie.
goodness, there's so many blueberries that I have to pick.
It's like the chickens got out of the coop.
Oh
Hold on.
man, because like if you proceed with the mission, it's going to destroy the city, and those quests are going to be gone.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like, ugh, that's just a nuisance.
Yeah, you know the 100% completionist in you
It's
just
just not
is
gonna happen.
hurting.
It's
You
just
know.
gone. It is the
Yeah.
worst feeling in the world when you do a quest and you notice that it changes the landscape and now some of your quests are gone.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's like,
It's
dang
like
it!
it's
I knew I should have
heartbreaking.
done these things.
Like ugh, how?
Or like,
But how was I supposed to know that doing this one specific quest would
uh-huh.
cause that to happen?
Or like you're exploring an area and you accidentally explore like the main route and so
Mm-hmm.
then like you finish like the main route at, first by accident and then like if you can't go back and like explore other areas you didn't get to
Absolutely, it
explore.
gets like location locked. Ugh, terrible.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
worst.
yeah, so like I think that it's doable in 4 months. I think that it's achievable.
Yeah, it's just going to be a very we just have to have a
It's gonna
very
be action
productive.
packed,
Yeah,
or it needs to be action packed if we want it to do that.
I think but
Um,
yeah I definitely think next thing Talonasha slash Reforging Sword, probably then Baphomet,
I agree
and then probably Fae
because like
stuff.
I think once we finish the
Oh yeah, and there's
Talonasha
also the
thing,
dragons in there. We
well,
have
the
to somehow
dragons are
we have to
kind
figure
of
out what's going
like
on with like are the dragons like direct like do we have to go figure out what's going on with the dragons and
I
like
feel
do
like at
that
no point in
separately?
time that we have to actively engage in the War of the Dragons, but there will probably be dragons during the like Fey Fiend fight.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that we might have to fight like kind of like how it was when they were present at the like War of Athala, where
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, we're fighting undead, but also there are dragons here,
Yeah.
and they're here because of stuff that is happening in the lore,
Hmm.
but we still have to deal with it. So like we
Right.
bring back the silver dragon. She's like, all right, time to mess up those punk kids. And then like one of them is like, I have come here to commit vengeance upon you for unleashing our enemy, and now I'm gonna wipe you out because it's your fault. And we're like, all right, bud, come at us. We're level 17, dog. Dog.
Fight me.
17 is going to get crazy for Abinthy.
I mean, that's when you get time stop. So.
Yeah, that's when I get ninth level spells, and things are going to get wild. And I'm very excited for it.
I will admit. So with like the Oath of the Watcher, the fact that I would be able to myself and the rest of my party would get to add a bonus to initiative equal to proficiency.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's
I'm
so
hitting at that
tempting.
point in time.
That
I'm hitting,
alone
like,
is
I'm hitting,
super
like,
tempting.
40 for initiative if I crit.
Like that would mean that I have a positive initiative score.
Whoa, baby!
I instead of a -1, I would have a well, when I like right now it would be a +4 because we have a +5 initiative. But eventually, you know that. But once we're like max level, it would be a +5 since we
It
have a
would mean
+6
that I
initiative.
have a plus 19 to my initiative.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty strong. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
That is very
The highest I
potentially
could
helpful.
get is a plus 21. Because if I increase my dex is only at a plus 3 right now, only at a +3. But dude, could you imagine literally it being impossible for me to be below a 20 initiative?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
kind
if
of
you go Oath of the
terrifying.
Watchers, that's what it will be because I will
Yeah,
at minimum get a 20.
because yeah, even if you roll a one, that's
Even if I
still
roll a 1, I still
that's
go
a 20
faster than
for you.
everyone else. So, yeah. And that's the beauty of Abinthy. That's what I've been working for this whole time for combat. Because if Abinthy doesn't go first, things get really difficult at level 17. So I have to ensure that Abinthy goes first, because first turn I cast Time Stop, so I can just get it out of the way and make
Hmm.
combat so much easier for literally everyone else.
Hmm.
So that's an exciting it's an exciting level for Aaron.
Hmm. Yeah, I also I didn't realize that I gained another fourth level spell slot at 15. I thought I just
Yeah,
gained the
baby.
paladin feature.
Nah,
I
dude.
didn't gain any new spells, but I did get another spell slot, which is great because that's another. Well, honestly, I shouldn't say that's another divine smite. Fourth level actually has like a lot of
Spells
good
that are
paladin
good.
spells.
Yeah.
Like I have like death ward, banishment, blights, like all pretty useful stuff. Plus, you can always save one of those spell slots for revivify.
Mm-hmm.
And smiting at fourth level isn't like doesn't do
Well,
anything because you
it's
reach
hitting the
max level
cap.
smite at third level.
Yeah. You're already
So
hitting that damage cap. So it's like not
so
as useful
yeah, so
for
it's
you.
not it's better to just use your third level spell slots first.
Yep.
And you already
Um
have three of those.
yeah. And combat only goes on that long.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you own combat only lasts for 3 turns anyway.
Yeah, easy. Um
Well, really what it is I have other ways to smite,
yeah.
like I can smite at second level. I also have my Blood Fury tattoo that gives me extra dice of damage. Lots of things.
You got loads of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Abinthy is going to in the next several levels, especially like once we unlock Yorwick, Abinthy is going to double down on upgrading his and other people's equipment as well.
For sure.
Because he'll hopefully have the capability. It's been very hard to show that Abinthy has actively been working on the mana pool, especially now that I have Grandma, who has a
Oh yeah.
horde that I can be like,
Hmm.
"Hey, Grandma, you and your ancient magical knowledge, could you help me out on this?"
Hmm.
Should be able to power through the mana pool a bit more aggressively, and who knows, dude? I don't even entirely know what the end goal might be for Abinthy in that, but it'll be something. It'll be exciting. But yeah, I think that the last episode was a good one. I think that it
Yeah.
was good. I think that there were rough parts. Mainly, I think that it's just me dreading having to play Abinthy for the next several weeks because I have to be just clearly the bad guy. But I also kind of love that because it's nice to have a character that is different from the other characters.
Hmm.
Where like, yes, there are people who have imperfections in Fate's Gambit. I would not necessarily consider Renaya a hero character.
Sure.
Probably an anti-hero, if anything.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Um,
The only real hero character is Cather.
yeah, and even then, it's like Edward might fit that role.
It's
Um,
like it's
he
like
he's
you
like
have
the people's hero. He's like Rocky in Rocky One,
yeah,
where he's like, yeah,
yeah.
you may not have won the fight, but you're the people's champion. You stuck in it the whole time.
That's right.
Abinthy is just kind of clearly a villain. And that's just a cool difference where he's like he is never going to be a person who is like, yeah, I'm going to be the hero in this situation.
Right.
He's the integral part of every ruling society, of the one who needs to do the bad things for the good reason and is willing to take the flack for it.
Hmm.
Where you have your king over here in Cather, who's like, you need to remain an upright citizen, so that way the
Right.
people love and respect you.
Uh-huh.
I am going to go murder in the background,
Hmm.
and do all the dirty
I'm
work.
going. I'm going to go murder and sabotage our enemies to
Yeah,
protect the people
and
while
I
doing
will
something
I will be
terrible.
hated aggressively for it. Which is just it's a fun little thing to play because I wouldn't necessarily consider Abinthy a bad person, but I certainly wouldn't consider him a hero in any sense of the word.
He's very morally gray.
Morally gray is a good term, maybe even morally dark gray.
Morally dark
Like
gray.
he tends to lean towards not good things if given the opportunity. Things also may change with Abinthy if Talanashta is alive, because in general
Oh,
she
true.
is kind of his guidepost of how to be a better person. Most of the
Just not be
things
the
that
worst.
yeah, most of the things that Abinthy has shown of him not being a bad person have been things given and informed to him by Talanashta.
Uh-huh.
So like with her gone, he's just kind of off the rails.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Help.
and then he leans in towards doing bad stuff. He's like he's like if he's like an Anakin where he just kind of always leaned towards violence. So as long as he doesn't come across a Emperor Palpatine esque type of person, if he's just with Obi-Wan, he's good.
He's good.
He's
Yeah.
set for life. And sadly, right now I don't have my Obi-Wan.
It's and he's about to meet his Emperor Palpatine
Oh
in
yeah,
Asmodeus.
dude, I'm so excited for that. I know that DJ is dreading it because he's like, I don't know how to play Asmodeus. His Asmodeus's kind of vibe is very in the background, like you never see him, and that's what makes him
Right.
terrifying.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't know how to do that and maintain that vibe while also having you be able to engage with him in a conversation of some sort. And so I'm excited to see what he does with it. And
Yeah.
I'm excited for the reactions of all of the other people in the group to be like, okay, Abinthy, where were you? And he's like, nowhere. You're like, Abinthy, what did we talk about? He's like, I was talking to Asmodeus. And they were like, you were talking to who? What? Why would you do that? He's like, "We had good cookies, I guess. I don't know. I was looking for a place. And they're like, that's not a reason to talk to the Lord of Hell, the literal progenitor of evil. And he's like, I needed to go to a place. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm going to talk to him again.
I
Probably
mean,
until I need something.
if I think at least with Cather, right? If Abinthy explained that, like, hey, I went to go talk to Asmodeus, it's like, why? It's like, well, he has information on Talanash's soul and how to get it back. And Cather would be like, all right,
Sold.
sold. What did he tell
Done.
you?
I'm in. That's good to know.
Because so again, like this is one of the weird things with Cather that I haven't always portrayed very great, which is just also because Cather's somewhat flawed. But for the most part, like Cather doesn't care about, like, for instance, like with Gratz, when we first met Gratz. The reason why Cather was so opposed to Renaya getting closer to Gratz and talking to Gratz consistently was because of the horrible, terrible things
Graft
that
is
Gratz
done.
has done. And so, and it's like the reason he didn't like that is just because, like, Gratz up until meeting Renaya was just a very selfish, self-centered, only cared about himself person,
Yeah.
and he just did whatever he wanted to get what he wants. He just did whatever he wanted, which Cather doesn't like. Um, and so like, and so Renaya trying to talk to him and like be influenced by him was something that made him very uncomfortable. And like, but with Abinthy, it's like he knows you're not trying to like get close to Asmodeus.
Yeah.
You're not trying to become buddies with him. You're
In
not
fact,
trying to befriend
I'm
him.
actively also trying to kind of screw over
Yeah,
Asmodeus if given the chance,
yeah,
because
yeah.
he's
And the
my
only reason,
father-in-law, and he's
the
a
only
jerk.
reason, and yeah, like to him, sure, talking to Asmodeus isn't maybe a good thing to do or a wise thing to do, but you're doing it for what he perceives to be a good reason in trying to save Talnasha. And
Problem solved.
so it's like, well, I mean, I don't necessarily like the idea of you talking to Asmodeus, but like, I mean, you did it, and I can, I agree that Talanasha needs to be saved,
Yeah,
so we're just gonna go for it.
you did a wrong thing for the right reason, which is
Mhm,
not as good as doing like the right thing for the wrong reason, and
mhm.
definitely not as good as just doing the right thing for the right reason.
Yeah, Cather's definitely the kind of person who cares more about intention and less so about like
Yeah,
what
he
people
cares
actually
more
do.
about the ends than the means.
Yeah.
Like as long as the purpose behind what you do is for a good thing and it is resolving well, the means don't really matter as long as it isn't actively negatively affecting people that have nothing to do with it. So
Hmm.
it's like if it was like I need to just save this monastery from an
Hmm.
impending meteor, so I contracted a demon to destroy the meteor. And it's like,
Right.
okay, but and he's like, well, the demon is now running rampant and has destroyed several villages. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so there's your problem.
Right. Exactly.
Like as long as the demon just goes home, not
Yeah.
an
It's
issue.
totally fine.
Like congratulations, you got rid of this meteor. But now we have a problem.
Right. And it's honestly, it's one of those things that I mean, for Catherine, for instance, it's like a big reason why like he like doesn't feel alienated by death. Is just like
Mm-hmm.
because like, for him, like for I mean for a lot of people, right? Like death is the end. Like death is this
Mm-hmm.
terrible, horrible thing, and it certainly sometimes is very painful. But it's just like it's also like in at least in his mind, like death. And this is actually, oh man, this is actually a conversation that I kind of hope would come up in game, and it could potentially. But in thinking about how Cather said that death is the only is fair in his book. I kind of I've been thinking about that more and like that statement, and like it came across me as like it'd be kind of interesting if Cather like in a conversation mentioned like yeah like to me life is the thing that's unfair because life is the thing that is completely unpredictable, you can't
Yeah.
control it, and even if you do everything right you can still get screwed over. Death, however, where you go after you die is a direct reflection based off of the person that you chose to be. So if you chose to do things that were right and good, you will go someplace good. If you chose to be a terrible person, then you'll go somewhere terrible.
Yeah.
So like in that way, death is that's like the ultimate way that death is fair.
This is also
And
the level where I get to actively begin screwing over death.
yeah.
So
And so
I'm excited because first of all, if it ever comes up where like Abinthy dies and then doesn't actually die, and Kath is just like, "What is wrong with you?" And he's like, "What was the first lesson that I taught you? What was the first thing in the magic lesson?" And you're like, "I don't remember." And he's like, "Magic is just cheating." Like this
honestly,
whole time, it all harkens back. I would love if
honestly, I
somehow
don't
all of
even know.
Abinthy's lessons somehow came into play. I'd
Honestly,
find it so funny.
I don't think Cather would care at that point. Like we're like end of the campaign, like it's years down the road. Somehow Cather and Abinthy meet again, and it's just like Abinthy, I like you died like a year ago. Like I went to your funeral, and it's just like you thought you went to
And the
my
best part
funeral.
is, not only did you go to his funeral, you meet him, and Abinthy is now 20. And you're like,
Yeah, he's younger.
what is what? And he's like, haha, you the mortal shell is just a cage. Like, but yeah, I'm excited. This level's a good one. This is when we start to get into
Yeah,
prime wizard area.
yeah,
Now that
dude,
we're at
we're
like
getting
high
into
level
it. We're
spells
getting
and
excited.
stuff. I'm excited for the first combat at level 17, dude.
It's dude, it's gonna be what
I'm just
literally.
beyond
Oh,
excited.
that reminds me. Also, first of all, I thought your new step was pretty cool.
Oh yes,
Uh,
Graveyard Garden.
uh-huh. That was good. I thought that was cool. That was neat.
Uh,
Hopefully it will become useful.
oh, I mean, hey, it healed the dog.
A whole one hit point.
Dude, so the beauty of that spell, the purpose of it didn't really get to shine that combat because it was just the only thing that I had the range and the lower level of spell slot that I
Hmm.
was like, I don't want to waste anything big. Like it could have cast like chain lightning or
Right.
something like that or lightning bolt or fireball. But I'm like, what is the thing that will only affect people that I choose in a radius that will hit everyone that I want and I can test a damage type.
Hmm.
This fits. And the main purpose of it is to allow healers to not have to focus on Abinthy so much.
Hmm.
Because with his magic item that increases the, like, anytime you roll a hit die, the hit die is doubled, means
Hmm.
that with Wither and Bloom, which I think is the name of the spell, when I choose myself within that radius, I
Right.
get to heal double the amount. So if I
Right.
roll a d6 and I get a 6, I get 12 points back.
Right.
So it kind of is just a way for me to sustain myself and not have to rely on our healers so they can keep doing the things that are actually fun in combat.
Right.
It's a Wither and Bloom is a very good spell. It affects any number of creatures within its radius. So if there's like a big group of things, it'll hit them all. And one of the things that are also within the radius I can choose to heal. So if I have a bunch of people that are unconscious, I as a wizard can at range get them back up and into the fight.
Right.
So
Hmm.
that's its entire purpose, which we may get to see, we may not. But step 2, Graveyard Garden, is it's a fun one. I kind of came up with that one on the fly. I had a couple of thoughts as for what this, because I'd used the first and the third step,
Hmm.
and I was like, what should I have for the second? Because the first step is Silver Wind. The third step, oh god, what's the third step? I know that I've
Is
used it.
it's humility.
Oh yes, Humility. Because it's the one that I bring things that are flying to the ground.
Yeah, because you hit them with with magic
Evocation, and
missile
then
and
I can
yeah,
automatically cause them to plummet without a save.
yeah.
So now I have a Graveyard Garden. So it goes attack slash movement into attack slash damage, and healing into attack and status effect. And so that's kind of the goal. And then once I hit level 17, we unlock the final step, and then I go through backwards and reverse. Level 17 combat's going to be. I can't stop
Great.
talking about it. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for it. I get to take
It's
so many fun turns.
I was gonna say, I think it's gonna be really, really funny because like we're gonna get to that first combat. None of us are gonna be ready for like all the things that Apathy's gonna do. And it's gonna be like, all right, 25-20, okay, Apathy's going first, cool, whatever. All right, of course he's going first, you know. And then you
Classic
like go down the
Apathy.
road, it's like, all right, Apathy, what are you gonna what do you do? What do you open up? It's like I step forward.
Oh, I have a whole
String wo-
monologue. I have a
it's
monologue
just
planned for it.
string waltz, full step,
Like,
something or rather.
no, no,
Whatever
no.
whatever you
I have an actual chant for the spell time stop that I have in my brain and the effects
nice.
that it does. I also have an explanation for how it works.
Nice.
So, and I can tell you this because it'll probably never come up in stream. Once I get time stop, how it functions is Apathy takes the flow of time
Uh-huh.
and he just slightly makes a fold in it, so there's like a gap, and
Right.
he exists in that gap. But for
Hmm.
everyone else, it just goes from point B to point C, or point A to
Hmm.
point C. He
Yeah.
exists in B and then shows up at C. So
Right.
for all of them, they just go straight to C. So they don't notice anything happen. They aren't like, they don't realize that time has stopped or
Right.
anything like that. It's just, I am here and there is no change in the flow of time for me except a bunch of things explode. And
Yep.
I have no idea why.
It's
So
just
if Abinthy uses it enough, he will slowly get minutes older than he should be at a time.
yes, that is true.
Because for him, time proceeds at the exact same distance.
Right.
Because he goes down into the gap and everyone else just
Right.
jumps over. It's like the book A Wrinkle in Time.
Hmm.
He does that. Except
Yeah.
instead of skipping over to the other side, he deliberately goes into the pocket,
Right.
which is just a fun little explanation. And I
Yeah.
have a whole monologue for it.
It's
And
gonna be
the
great.
and the reason that I chose time stop is because it won't actually end combats. Because
Mhm.
I don't want to, like, meteor swarm pretty much just means that you can just get rid of one combat a day.
Mm.
You can just because, like, what's gonna live, dude?
Yeah.
It's
Not a lot.
It's a meteor swarm. It's like you can wipe out whole armies.
Yeah.
That's not any fun for the rest of the group. It's fun for one person. Now I just get to increase my fun slightly more than everyone else, but they still get to have fun.
Yeah.
And so I'll just have a list of things that I'm going to do and go, all right, first turn, this is what I do. Second turn, this is what I do. Third turn, this is what I do. Fourth turn, this is what I do. Fifth turn, this is what I do. Sixth turn, this is what I do. Now we can go. All these things happen. Roll these saves. Now we're in the combat. Done.
Yeah, it's I I do love like the image in my head of like where like the party is standing on like the edge of a lip and we see this, an arc fair or something approaching us with like an army and all of us like, Cather pulls out his reforged blade, Edward pulls out, his rapier and like
And
his
his
lutes.
yeah, and he now has
Renaya,
the staff of what's the big the rod.
oh, the rod of lordly might.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is fantastic item by the way.
He pulls out his rod. Renaya, summons like an
Dagger in
army,
hand.
like yeah, like has like a dagger and summons like an army of demons, and then everything just
And everything walks forward.
and then
He goes,
everything just is like, well, this is my it like breaks the fourth wall for a moment. It's just like now this is my turn to do things, and then
Yeah.
like it's just like it just fast forward, just like runs through everything, and then we like get back to the rest of the party's perspective, and everything just blows up.
Yeah, no,
Just
it's so in total of things that will happen. Abinthy will suddenly be glowing with radiant light. A
uh-huh,
force cage will imprison a very strong creature.
uh-huh,
A delayed blast fireball will be somewhere on the battlefield,
uh-huh,
and it will explode immediately as the time is up.
uh-huh,
On top of him, also now having haste cast on himself,
uh-huh.
multiple orbs of ice that he can throw at any point in time, and I think one other thing that are just things that exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, first of all, I feel really bad for DJ because planning combats is going to be very difficult because like
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be some monsters that just can't get out of a force cage.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we can just not deal with them and they can't do like you can just put a Balrog in a force cage and they just can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
no they can't
Force
teleport
Gauge is yeah,
and they don't have
that's
any
a tricky
ranged
one.
attacks. So they're just stuck there. They're like, well, this is my home for the next hour.
This
So
is
as
just
long as
where I
you
live.
stay out of like 15 feet of range of them, you're fine. So yeah, so that's level 17. Things are gonna get wacky, and I'm very excited for it. And then we get to deal with the rest of the combat as actual people that are playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
You can now do your fun things and smite stuff. I'll just
Yeah.
cast teleportation spells over in the background. You go over there, you go over there. Oh, they're trying to run. No, no, you go over there. Like,
you.
yeah. Every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, so this is my favorite combo that I haven't gotten to use because I have had no reason or time to prep it. The spell, like I think it's like Frost Orb or something like that. You can turn into a portable little pellet that at a later point in time you can throw and activate the spell
Right.
without casting a spell. And as a war mage, one of your reactions means that you can't cast spells until the start of your next turn or until maybe the end of your next turn. So like if I use that to succeed on a saving throw, I can't cast a big spell. I can only cast a cantrip. But that doesn't matter if I have a little thing that I can throw and it's like I'm still casting a spell. It's perfect.
It's great.
And I'm really excited for that to eventually. And also, when I choose to use that reaction to save, I get to just automatically deal force damage to things within 60 feet of me now. So, pretty wacko. Real excited
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a good time.
Well, Drew, this actually went on slightly longer than I thought that it would. Is there anything else that you want to talk about RPGs, about Dungeons and Dragons, about TPD or anything?
Yeah, it's kind of so something else that's kind of weird. I mean, we touched on it a little bit earlier with when we did our filing cabinet episode
Mm-hmm.
earlier towards the beginning of this year. With all this stuff that we're talking about for the climax of the campaign, and with some of the like OGL stuff getting resolved.
Yeah, the 5e has pretty much entirely been put into Creative Commons. So that's you can freely use and edit that to whatever extent that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we're
Mm-hmm.
sticking in 5e, which I don't see us moving to 1D&D any point in time.
No, I don't.
Um,
It's one of those things. It's just like personally speaking, like even before like thinking about OGL stuff, like like some of the like early release like beta kind of whatever 1D stuff. Like personally speaking, like when I looked at, it, I'm like,
Yeah, they
I
had
don't
like
know if I really
they had a couple
like
of
some of
things
these
that I was
changes.
like, I like this. This is a good idea. And then there was also a couple of them, and I was like, what?
I was like, what? Huh?
Excuse me.
And it's also
Um,
like one of those things. It's like, well, it's like the things that I liked are like small enough things. That it's like you could those could just be like just home
yeah,
game
you can just
rules.
say that that's a thing that we do now.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and so until there's a major tone shift in the entire community of Dungeons and Dragons, that they're like, well, we're kind of interested and we want to switch over to one D&D, and it isn't like super constrictive and they haven't
Hmm.
changed an OGL thing for it or anything like that. I don't see us changing from 5e until that occurs,
Right.
or even if that occurs, because there's a definite chance that just never happens and
Right.
people are like, no, we're just going to keep playing 5th edition.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
a nice thing.
And
I'm excited because I don't have to change everything that I've worked on for campaign 2.
well, yeah, and think and because of all that, like it's also like kind of more solidified in my mind. Like, okay, yeah, this is what I like. It more solidifies in my brain what kind of character I want to play, and with the knowledge, like, okay, like I can still pre-build this and kind of flesh out what I want to do a little bit, and kind of understand where I want to go with the character and what kind of character I want to play,
Oh yeah,
without having to worry about
can I
what
do
kind of
this,
system.
or
Yeah,
are we going to change the system? Will it still fit?
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So
So yeah, it's exciting. It's cool stuff.
yeah, we
But
have a lot of developments that will be coming towards TPD in the like near future. So anyone who is watching this, make sure you're keeping an eye out because there will be stuff released to the public that we will be looking for your opinion and participation on. So keep an
it's
eye
gonna
out
be
for
great.
that. I'm excited to see where we go and develop in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. It's cool stuff coming up. Lots of cool stuff.
Well, Drew, is that all you have for us today?
Um. Yeah. No. I mean, I don't think I have anything
Well, in
else.
that case, it has been a pleasure having you on stream. I'm going to end us with
Thank you.
some ending plugs, our regular stuff. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We have it. Check it out. We're working on it. I'm bad at it, but hopefully I'll be better eventually. We have a website, www.thepaperdungeon.com, where we have a merch store. Speaking of merch stores, Lydia Corinne also has a merch store. She does all of our art, all of our overlays, all of our character art. So check that out. You can also commission art from her. She's very good at it, and she needs money. So you should send her money. Preferably in return for cool
A
goods that you
product that
can
you
then
will
use.
enjoy and use, and yeah.
Speaking of supporting people, we have multiple ways to support us. We have a Streamlabs donation. We also have a Ko-Fi, and we also have a Patreon. That Patreon is pretty rad. It has some stuff that we release every single month. We have a one shot that we release monthly, and hopefully we'll be releasing more things as we go. We also have a Discord. It's a really cool place and a lot of cool people on it, and that's how you'll know when we go live with stuff and when there's updates to the Paper Dungeon and important details that you may want to know. Additionally, if you're a subscriber, it's also important because every once in a while we'll release some subscriber-only stuff through the Discord, whether it be a teaser from Patreon about like an episode on Patreon that we were like, we would love the subscribers to have us, or just in general extra subscriber content. So it's really cool over there. I can't think of any more things that we have to plug. Also, I'm just saying, I'm getting so efficient with these plugs.
Oh yeah. I guess I don't know. Check out. Grant has been
Oh,
streaming more.
yes. We have a bunch
Just
of
check
people
out.
who have streams.
Yeah, check out Philo Grant. At
Philo Grant
Twitch.
on
He's
Twitch.
been doing some cool Minecraft stuff
Yep.
recently.
Recently started a streamer SMP where he has a bunch of collabs set up, some of them even with members of the Paper Dungeon community. I believe this coming Saturday, Spaff will be on,
Hmm. Yes, I
which
believe
we
that is
love
correct.
Spaff over at TPD. He's also a streamer, very good at it. And so yeah, so check Grant over. Lydia also streams every once in a while. I will start streaming sometime in the near future if all goes well. Do Maz streams every once in a while, I think. One of our other mods, Wander, also streams every once in a while. So check out, just in general, check out the
Yeah,
cool people that are
and
related
yeah,
to us in
and
some way, shape, or form.
all these people can be found on our Discord.
Yeah.
So
Also, if you need help editing a song of some sort, Drew will eventually be able to take commissions. So keep him in mind for
Yes.
mixing music.
Yeah. Grant and I, yeah, I this week has been a busier week for me work wise, so I haven't been able to make very much progress this week, but I'm hoping next couple weeks
Oh yeah,
I'll be able to get that all set up and going. And Grant and I are also getting our stuff set up for we so
big announcement.
a little bit of a little bit insider. So Grant and I have obviously worked on a lot of music stuff for Paper Dungeon, and we are working on some more gain some more official releases. So for some of the Paper Dungeon music stuff, but also Grant and I are working on our own kind of indie company. So be ready for that to be
Absolutely.
talked about in the next couple weeks once we also get that kind of stuff set up. It's real exciting. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, there'll be some good music
Some good
available.
music. Hmm.
The only thing that I have left to say to everyone who is watching is the thing that I say every week. We love it over here at the Paper Dungeon. Good luck and Godspeed, everyone. We will see you next time, Dungeoneers. It has been a blast. Thanks for stopping by this Thursday. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.